Welcome back, Tia Santana with the Delaware Contemporary. I'm excited today to introduce our guest. Our guest is Stephanie Richardson. Stephanie is an artist and designer based in Delaware and the Pennsylvania areas. Stephanie studied at the University of the Arts and is currently pursuing a degree in fine arts with a minor in advertising from the University of Delaware. Welcome, Stephanie. It's so glad to have you.
Thank you for having me so much. Thank you so much.
Stephanie, I want to get right into it. So I would just like you to just tell us a little bit about yourself and tell us a little bit about your work and your process.
Right. I'm like you said, I'm an artist based in Delaware and Pennsylvania. I'm from like Lansdowne, PA area originally. I'm sorry. I feel like I don't take myself too seriously, but
No,
I laugh a lot. I love.
You have a light sense of humor.
Yes, I have a very light sense of humor. I love laughing. Like it's my favorite thing to do. Like if I can't laugh, what's the point?
Yeah, you're very colorful. I mean, it just feels like light and colorful. Like just okay, I'm kind of taking away from the viewers, just but like looking at your work, it's like your energies are colorful and vibrant and light. And that
Yeah.
is personality. Embrace it. I love it.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yes, I really do try to like add a lot of light and bright, vibrant colors like in my work. And I think my utilization of light is like it's like what I focus on the most when it comes to my pieces. I really do try to get dramatic tones and bright colors into it. And I like to work with a lot of mediums that allow me to get that bright color. Like with oil paint, I feel like oil paint, it's like it can be a little bit muddier, like it's more pigmented, more earthy looking. So I do have to like layer my work to get the bright pigment colors into at least the way that I want it to be. I do work with like a lot of other mediums, but I'm really loving oil paint like after I started like using it. So oil paint's like my favorite medium right now. Yeah.
Ew, that is phenomenal. I mean, the paintings are phenomenal. Speaking of your paintings, tell me about your subject matter and tell me about, your narrative and your journey of your subject matter of painting these beautiful figures of African American women.
Yeah, I've always drawn Black women. Like I see Black women every day, like they're part of my life. Like I feel like whenever someone asks me, oh, why don't you draw white people? I'm like I don't really see white people on a daily basis. I draw from what I see. And I really am inspired by Black women and like just the Black women in my life, like my mom, my grandmother, her, even hearing stories about her mother and all her sisters, like they were all very strong women who were able to make the whole world out of nothing. And they've provided me and my family with so many like amazing opportunities to grow and become our own person. And they've given us like safe spaces just to be ourselves and just to grow. So that's why I like to try and incorporate Black women into all my pieces, no matter what I'm doing. And I just like to, reflect on all the different aspects of their personalities and, just the nuances of their characters.
You talk about safe spaces and creating these safe spaces and these figures, figures that have been able to provide you safe spaces. Were you successful in having these safe spaces during your years at your college? In critique, what was that experience like for you as a woman of color? In an institutional setting with your work?
Yeah, I have. So I feel like for the most part, like especially my classmates and my peers, they've helped me create a safe space helped us as a collective create a safe space for us to share our art and express ourselves. I have had, trouble with some teachers though. Like I've had teachers who just didn't like me for like no reason. Like I would ask them to critique my work that's what they're supposed to do. They're just supposed to critique your work. And I would ask them for clarification on a point and they would be like, well, I just don't really like it. Or they would even say to me, like, you just don't play well with others and you have a bad attitude. And I was like, is that what you're grading me on, my attitude? like that has nothing to do with my work. And even if I don't really believe that I was being in any type of disrespectful way, but even if that was the case, like, I don't think that should be what you're grading me on based on how much you like me. Like, it should be on the work that I'm presenting to you. But I have had a couple of issues with teachers in that regards. But for the most part, most of my teachers have been very supportive of my work, and they've opened a lot of doors for me to express myself and push myself further in my art and in just like with opportunities in general.
Kudos to you as a student who had the uh uh who demanded that as that instructor give you um resources and reasons as to why they, as to why they were disapproving of your work.
Hmm.
And I think that that's important because not many, sometimes it's like that hierarchy where there are the students always feel like the professor knows everything.
Hmm.
I can't challenge a professor. What do you think could have been an opportunity for your teachers to have what do you think would have been a learning opportunity for your teachers to have been able to meet your needs as a student, as a student of color, as a woman of color? Um, how do you think that your student, I mean, it's not your student, how do you think that your teachers could have handled that?
Well, I don't really have a like because I love critiques. Like I love getting feedback on my work and like anything that can help me make me grow and that's actually constructive. But I feel like I had issues when they didn't have a specific thing that they just didn't like. Like they couldn't actually vocalize what was the issue. And like I don't know if it's just because I feel like when you communicate that you don't like something, I think that you should be very clear about it. And maybe I just wasn't understanding what it was and or what the actual issue was. I was like, I just like I don't really understand what the issue is in the first place. So can you provide clarification? And that's usually when it was like, oh, you're just doing it wrong, or like there was no like specific reason as to why they didn't either like me or didn't like what I was presenting them. It was like it just seemed very unspecific. So I was I just didn't really like that. And maybe that's just my problem. But I just want really clear, really specific feedback when it comes to people critiquing my stuff. Because I'm like, if you don't specifically know what the issue is, how are you able to fix it? So I think that that was really my problem with it.
Has your work always been about Black women? Like, has that been the focus of your work?
Yeah, I think so. I think portraiture is like my main like focus when it comes to my art. Like I love drawing the human face. But I mean, I did a whole body positivity series. Well, this was back in high school. I did a whole body positivity series where I included a couple white women and like one of my friends. She was really well, she wasn't like insecure about it, but she talks to me about how Asian women in their culture, monolid eyes are seen not as pretty as like hooded lids, or I can't remember the specific terms, hooded lid, or yeah, I can't remember the specific terms for it, but I did try to incorporate some of her what she was interested in into my it was my AP studio art thesis. So I did try to create an inclusive series that address different um, beauty standards across different cultures. So even though like Black women are like my focus, like I definitely try to incorporate other women as well because I think that all women need to really support each other and hold each other up.
I agree. Thank you. Um, speaking about your work and about this current series that we're going to be viewing in Hair and Nonconformity, would you like to talk a little bit about your process as it relates to nonconformity?
Hmm. My process, I feel like I have a very spontaneous process. Like sometimes I'll sit down and make a sketch, but then sometimes I just go straight to like the canvas and just start painting. But for the first piece that I did create, the self manifest piece, I did sketch that one out before I made it because I wanted to reflect a very specific idea and I wasn't entirely sure how to execute it. Like I wanted to have like these different dimensions floating into like in and around the figure. So that one I definitely planned out and sketched it. And I feel like once I had like the blueprint for that piece, I was able to visualize the other pieces and make them to be the way that I wanted to, and make them all seem like supernatural kind of. And I definitely love, like I said, playing with light and color. I do try to incorporate plants into my art because I feel like like the wild growth of plants and like just how beautiful they are, like without any need to be altered. Like I love plants. And I like learning about the symbolism behind different plants. And I try to incorporate just a little bit of like that, the plant secret language. Like, you know how like each plant has like its own meaning. Yeah, I try to research that and incorporate some of that into my art as well. So I like having like little hidden messages like for people who are geeked out about that or and stuff like
Nice. I love that.
that.
Your work has a little bit of mythology. It's like thematic on mythology.
Yeah.
Would you like to talk a little bit about that?
Yes, I definitely do draw a lot of inspiration from different religious texts. Like I like Egyptian spirituality, like, and I've read the Book of the Dead. Like I like reading the Kabbalah, which is like it's like a Jewish book of mysticism. It's not, I don't think it's really canonical in the religion, but I've enjoyed reading it. So I do try to incorporate well, lots of different ideologies into my work and reflect on them to convey another layer of meaning to my work. Like the self manifest piece, the one that I was talking about earlier. When I was creating that one, I was reflecting on the creation myth of Lilith and how in some versions of her story she was created at the same time Adam was created, and in other versions of the story, when God said, "Let there be light," like a piece of light separated from that light and formed Lilith. And I just wanted to reflect on that and how sometimes, like, you know, us as Black women, we have like the ability to create our own realities and we are able to create something out of nothing. Like, and I just think that that's such a beautiful thing. I really wanted to capture that moment of creation, of being able to create your own world and your own reality.
I think you've done a really great job, talking about like it kind of like narrates into like the complexities of a Black woman. Like there's so many different complexities within a woman. And we have these traditional images of what Black women are. And then like your images, they kind of like they kind of shifts into like another dimension, and it kind of seems
Yeah,
like dimensional. And I think that is it's great. It's very contemporary, and at the same time, it just speaks to so many of the different layers. Like we're not just one we don't have one image. We're not just one layer. We're multi-layered, and I think that comes across very diligently in your work. And also the ability for women to kind of like grow and sprout and become, and that they're always becoming, they're continuously
yes,
becoming in your work. And
that's
it,
exactly what I try to capture.
yay. I mean, that's what that's what it reads for me. And of course it's going to read differently for every woman or for every viewer that views the work. And it has, within the layers of your work, it's so open for interpretation, based on individual narrative. And I really appreciate that. Very inviting. And I think that your work has a lot to think, there's a lot to dive into, there's a lot to dissect, there's a lot of intellect in your work that you can sit back and have to really view and take it in and then process it. Stephanie, can you tell me a little bit about your painting titled The Wind of Change?
So Wind of Change was inspired by a dream I had where this, oh goodness, I don't even know how to describe it because I feel like it sounds so weird when I talk about it. But it was inspired by a dream. And basically, like long story short, this at the end of my dream, as I was like closing like windows in my house or something, and like I heard like a storm cloud and like there was like lightning crackling. And I look up and there's this woman like standing there just like staring at me. And like I was like really terrified of her because I didn't really know like why she was just staring at me. So I was trying to close everything up and like keep her out. But instead she like summoned like a wave and she like wiped everything away. And like I woke up and I was like, I don't think that I should have been scared of that. Like I think that that was like something telling me that it's time to clear, everything has to go. It's time to clear this out and like change your not like your circumstances, like change the environment. Like something in your environment needs to change and you need to throw it out undiscriminately. Like
Mm.
without like, let go of your attachment of whatever it is that's holding you down. So I kind of took it as that. And I was really inspired by that, especially because I feel like my dream was very vivid. Like it was really like that whole atmosphere change between the red and like that grayish blue. It was like a whole overwhelming sense of something has to go right now. And yeah, that dream just really like whenever I have a dream like that, I'm like, okay, like that's something I need to listen to because I think maybe I was just getting too comfortable, in my own little introverted self, and I just needed to push myself out and do something. And like, so I painted her because she inspired me. But yeah, so yeah, and I really wanted to show because I feel like shrinkage and like it's like something that I feel like a lot of white people don't understand. So I wanted to really draw like the transition between like straight hair, like not really straight hair, but like kind of looser hair texture, and like when your hair gets wet and it just coils. And I feel like that's like that really is like an evolutionary like defense response. Like when your hair gets wet and it coils and like
Mhm.
retreats, like that is like that's something. I don't really know how to put I'm not that, scientifically inclined to explain that. But I feel like that's a whole like adaptive response to your environment. So I thought that that was really interesting. I really wanted to incorporate that into the piece. And
I love that. I love that metaphor of like you basically talked about like your hair in its natural state, which is non-conforming, but when you
mhm,
straighten it out, like your hair is conforming to the process, to what you're doing to it,
right.
to actually like there's a process that your hair has to go through to straighten, whether it's a perm, a little relaxer, or whether it is heat, whether you're putting heat to it, or if you're putting dramatic heat to it, or even if you're combing it like and stretching your hair. That's so much pressure for your hair to conform to what we're asking it to do. And like the way that our hair grows out of our hair naturally, whether they're loose coils or whether they're really tight coils, it's our hair going back to like its original state, saying, hey,
Yeah.
this is who I am. Like, and it's something about I love that there's like uh I love the element of like fire, like blue and red, like in the work, because it's like that element of like earth and water, and like the water just kind of like washes it away, and that heat
Yeah.
is like whew, like the power of heat, like it's something to like. I feel like the heat is representational, same as the water can be very representational for women of color when it comes to our hair and what our hair and how our hair transitions
Mhm.
in those ways. And that color choice is very powerful.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, this is like one of my favorite pieces doing because I feel like I really got into like the details of her face and her hair, and it was just I had a fun time painting that.
Nice. Yes. Well, I have one more question that I want to ask before I leave here today, and that is just if you would not mind sharing a personal narrative in response to either the Crown Act or the natural movement and conformity or nonconformity, just an experience that you may have, whether it is a lived experience or witness experience, something that stands out for you, something that your viewers, like a lot of the artists we have shared these personal stories, and I haven't come across one yet that doesn't have a personal attachment to why they make or create this work. It's very
Mhm.
personal. So if you would like to share one, I'd love to hear it.
Yeah, I have a couple, but like for especially like with hair interactions, like I feel like I don't know, I really feel like every Black woman has like their own experience with someone touching their hair unwanted or, just something that was really inappropriate. But
Share.
yes. So I remember this was at when I was in high school. It was like our pep rally, like for Spirit Week, and we were all leaving the gym. And I was walking through, like we were all pushing through like this crowded hallway. And as I was trying to like make my way to my next class, like I felt someone like come and like just grab like my braids because I had box braids in. And I turned around and like it was like this. this white boy that I knew, and he's like, Stephanie, is all this your hair? And I just like pushed him away and I kept walking because I was like, what are you, like, you grabbed my hair in the middle of this hallway and like people are like pushing up against me trying to get to where they're going. Like, you stopped everything just to grab my hair and like ask me that stupid question. And so I just thought it was like absolutely ridiculous that it was one, that it was, you felt that it was your concern to know about, one, my, like if it was all my hair, and two, like you stopped everyone while they were trying to do whatever they were trying to do. Like that was a huge disruption, like in the middle of the hallway for no reason. And so I just felt like, I guess that's like one experience, and that one definitely isn't really like hurt me, but it was just like you really like just violently like grabbed my hair. Like it was just really uncalled for.
Well, first of all, I apologize for that. I'm sorry that you experienced that. And you're right, too many people of color have these experiences, but it was an overstep of boundaries. It was also it was an excerpt of privilege as well for someone to even think that they can just touch your hair without asking. It's like you
Mhm.
walking up to someone and just touching them wherever you choose to, and think that there's no consequences behind it. And then the audacity to to ask you a question about where you didn't know this person, or you aren't friends. But I
Mhm.
don't think that sometimes people realize that it's not your place to ask me such a personal question in public. It's not your business. And
Mhm.
don't get upset if I'm upset with you, or if I respond in a way that you're not expecting, because you felt the privilege that you can just ask me something personal. Like
Right.
that is completely out of pocket. It's not okay. It's wrong. And I think that, people today are voicing, we're not sitting back and conforming and saying, oh, it's okay. No, we're saying, no, that's not okay. Don't do that. So that those people who choose to do that can understand and know, like, no, this is not accepted. It's like they don't, I sometimes you feel like maybe they don't know. But if you ask, like, think about something in return that can be so personal, you know, I don't think you would have ever gone up to him and be like, hey, like, were you, you know, did you brush your teeth? Did you really floss today? Like before, like in the middle of the hallway, like in school, did you floss those grapes you ate this morning out of your teeth? Were you, like, you know, or is that your, like, if you have, it's just no.
Yes. Exactly. It was completely out of pocket, like you said, out of pocket.
I'm sorry. I apologize. It's unacceptable. It's
Mhm.
it was it's very unacceptable, and it was it really is just a show of how people feel that they are privileged, and that they demand of you, like, that kid asked you a question demanding a response from you, like, you had to stop what you were doing. And not only did he ask the question, but he first touched you without even asking
Mhm.
if you could be touched, which is uh so I apologize again for that experience.
Thank you so much. It was, I mean, it was a long time ago, and I don't really think he ever really apologized for it, because I do see him still, like I see him all the time actually, but
That's even more interesting. Like, so
yeah,
transition between high school and now, at least what, 3 4 years, 3 years, two,
like
at least
three,
3 years.
four,
Yeah.
yeah.
So there's been some time, some years, some growth, and you still see this person. What have you desired in any way to 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 like not reconcile, but like to say, hey, you know what you did was, I wanted to let you know this is what you did was wrong, like those years ago, so that you don't do it again? Or do you think in that instant, like, your reaction to him was at a teachable moment?
I'm honestly really not sure, because I feel like until I really sat down and thought about it, it wasn't something that really impacted me. I feel like I've had worse experiences, like not like with like my hair in general, but like with just really inappropriate experiences where that's kind of been pushed back, kind of. So I don't really think that like I felt the need to reconcile that, because I kind of forgot about it until recently until I started really thinking about experiences where people have like touched my hair inappropriately, so I don't know. I don't have the desire. I don't really have the desire to be even really around him. So it's like I don't think I feel the need to reconcile it.
Yeah, no. I definitely didn't think that you should reconcile. I was just thinking like if you still see him, was there like, any desire in you to be like, you know what, I should have checked you 3 years ago.
Oh no, I mean, I feel like me pushing him. I feel like he got the message, but
Yeah.
like,
So it was a teachable moment. So like that
yeah.
was a teachable moment. Like he was like, whoa, hey, wait. So in that, what do you like? I'm just interested in like what do you think your perspective is? I know that, because our hair is so intimate of an experience for Black women, like it happens. Our hair, the way we style our hair, the way we do our hair, it all happens, either kind of like in a private space at a hair salon or in our homes, but it's really private. And then a lot of times, um, when we engage in an audience that is not familiar, specifically white audiences, we don't really speak about our work, about our hair, about our process. We don't speak about these things. Do you what's the level, like what are like how do you suppose like teachable moments are engaged in that platform of, you know who should have told this kid that it was inappropriate to touch a Black woman's hair or anyone's hair? It's not even a Black woman's hair. Like, did he walk around school touching white kids hair and
I have not seen.
Asian kids hair? Not
No, no, I'm not
I
seeing.
bet you would
Like,
see
I
him.
don't,
Just just like the concept of like I
Mhm,
wonder like if like what made him or what makes any and I'm saying I'm using him just because
mhm,
he's like a figure in your story, but do you know there are so I feel like if we took a survey of how many African American women had their hair touched unwantedly, or was asked a question, like, uh, is that your real hair, like, in public, by a white person, like how do we give these teachable moments to these to these people who obviously don't have a clue, or maybe they have a clue, they just choose to ignore it, or maybe it's the privilege that they feel like they demand or they deserve an answer or a response. Like how do we talk about that? Like I'm just like, like, because you were just like in every right form, and a lot of women who will say, hey, you know what, this is not cool, like don't do this, and we're all in agreement. And then you have some people who are very clueless, and they'll be like, you'll turn around and be like, why are you asking me that? And they're just like clueless as to why it's wrong. How do we reconcile that?
sure.
Like,
I feel like that has to be like a whole like PSA or something, like a whole documentary or something like that they make them watch on the day, like
yeah, so you said Nate. So we put out these public service announcements, or we have these insightful moments of clarity of how, is it something that, is it culturally something that, schools that have that, that everyone, that's shared in that is shared in someone's school, or is it shared in preschool, or is it shared in the doctor's office, like, is it shared at the bank, like is it shared in the grocery store, like where is this information shared so that we can all be on the same page? So that we're not sitting, like, so that your experience isn't educating and being a teachable moment for
Mhm.
someone, but they already had that moment that was available to them before the opportunity ever presented itself.
Right.
That's like my question of like, how is it that we do that?
I feel like because well, I don't know how pre-K is now, but like when I was in pre-K, like we had like the little reading nook and we had like those different books. I feel like if we had like either like a reading nook, or like maybe we had like an animation that we played for like kids in like pre-K. Like I feel like that could be a start. I don't know if that would be like a end all solution, but I feel like if you just teaching kids about like touching people unwanted in general, like, or even stuff like that, like I feel like that could be, it has to start young in my opinion. So I think that would be like a good start, like having like a couple books about hair texture diversity, and like maybe like a short little animation that like kids have to watch or something. I feel like that would be one that would be kind of cute, like seeing like a little animated like afro, like I feel like that'd be so cute, like. But I feel like it does have to start young, and it has to start, well, I feel like that it should start at home, but not everyone's getting taught the same stuff at home anyway, so yeah.
I like what you're onto. I like the idea of like that little cartoon or video because I think that it's communicative of boundaries and respecting others and also acknowledging others, like you acknowledge everyone's cultural differences and you appreciate them and you celebrate them at
Mhm.
the same time. Just like I think about like in your work in its art form, like it's celebrating these women. And as an artist, I feel like like you're putting your work out there and it's a celebration and it's a visual celebration, and I really appreciate that as an artist. I think that that will be fantastic. That's your next project.
Yeah, that it could be. It could be. I just got into animation too. Like I made like a little, because I just had my animation final. That was what I was stressing over last weekend. But I've been getting into animation, so it could be my next project.
Yes, I mean it's much needed.
Yeah,
Much needed.
much needed.
It has been such a pleasure to speak with you about your work, about your process, and about your experiences, your experience. Thank you so much for sharing your narrative with me and others. And I hope that there is a great takeaway from your sharing and your work. And we are so excited to exhibit your work at the museum, and we can't wait. So thank
Yes,
you
I
so much.
can't wait either. Thank you. Thank you so much.